section 6. I've titled this section Market Segmentation, Targeting, and Positioning. Now, other people refer to them as STP, Segmentation, Targeting, and Positioning. This section tries to tell us that your market, which I'm sure by now you understand what a market is too big. Customers are many, they have different needs, and you cannot produce one product for them. There's the need to group each, or to group customers into distinct groups and provide goods and services for them. Once you are able to do that, you also need to create a certain impression in the minds of these customers so that the products and services would actually fit their needs. So market segmentation, targeting, and positioning are three strategies that are often related, that marketers put them in place to be able to actually do a zero in on the kind of market they want to satisfy. Now, market segmentation is usually the starting point for all this. But some people will decide that they will not segment the market, they will do a mass marketing. Others think that they will do a micro marketing. Alternatively, some believe that market segmentation is the way to go. Others think that instead of segmenting the market and worrying themselves, they only do niche marketing. We'll go through all these things as we progress. It is telling us what the mass market is. The mass market simply means ignore almost all the market differences and approach the market as if it is a simple one market, produce the same product, and try and sell, persuade all others to buy it. That is the mass market. You also think that the niche market is about finding out a small segment of the market whose needs have not been properly met, isolating them, and producing special goods for them. For example, I would be able to say that people who are into, people who are vegetarians, their needs have been underserved by the hotels because they don't prepare special food for these vegetarians. Once you isolate them as a restaurant and say that, for example, every Thursday I'm going to prepare a special food for vegetarians, what you are doing is that you are doing a niche marketing in that sense. Micro marketing simply means that you are marketing to a smaller group of people and you are tailoring your products and services to match the needs of a smaller group of consumers. It's called micro marketing. For us, I would say that market segmentation simply means the process of dividing your market into groups consisting of individuals who have distinct needs and can be served using the same products and services. In market segmentation, we don't focus attention on individuals. We normally place the individual as a member of a group so that when we produce for the group, that individual would also benefit by what is produced for the group. So in market segmentation, we focus attention on groups rather than individuals. Now, what is the basis for grouping these customers? Well, the first one is geographical basis. In geographical basis, we look at dividing customers on their geographical locations. So, for example, we look at the region and we find out whether the region is big enough to produce goods for that particular region. We look at the city, we look at the country, we look at density, we look at climate. For example, look at cars that come from Europe as against cars that come from America. You realize that purely the automobile companies use regional basis to segment the market. American cars are bigger, more sophisticated than European cars. And in most cases, clothing is a typical example where geographical segmentation is very, very common. Clothing. Move ahead again and come to demographic. Here, companies use population factors to divide the market. So they divide their market based on age, gender, income, family size, and life cycle. Now, if we take, for example, age, certain products, you have age as a basis for grouping customers. So, for example, take the pharmaceutical companies. You have the syrup for kids, the tablets, and then the capsules for the adults. It tells you that the market has age in mind. Gender, clothing. You divide the market based on males and females, and you produce different clothes for males, different clothes for females. So you have cosmetics, you have clothing, even cars are produced with gender in mind. There are certain colors that you see them in the used by car manufacturers, and it's purely gender bias. For example, if you see a wine color, most of them belong to ladies. A yellow color, it's more gender female oriented. Then you have the income. Income segmentation is now popular. Your income determines what you need and what you can afford. So take the real estate companies. They build houses, but they build them to suit the income levels of people. Look at the family life cycle. Now, families have a life cycle. They normally begin from whether you are a bachelor or a spinster, then to honeymooners when they are freshly married, to parenthood when they have children, to post-parenthood when they finish taking care of the children, and then to the empty nest or when the children have left home. At each of these stages, you realize that needs of customers would vary, and therefore we actually produce goods and services and time them to customers according to this need cycle. Occupation, people also demand different goods based on the occupation, and therefore where you work could also determine your needs. Obviously, a staff of the University of Ghana will have his needs different from a staff who works perhaps or who works with a farming company. Now, you have psychographic. Here you are using psychological factors. For example, you are using personality. Personality is the view you have of yourself. And normally, people select products that communicate their personality, because psychologists have told us that the products and services you consume, they are an extension of who you think you are. For example, if you think you are successful, then products and services you pick will actually communicate, you want it to communicate this success to people. Think about people who are driving Hummer cars. Think about people who are driving Range Rover cars. What is the information they are communicating out to the outside world? Some people also believe that you can segment your market based on the social classes that people belong to. And once you are able to identify the various social classifications in society, whether people are in the upper group, they are in the middle group, or they are in the lower group, you produce goods and services to satisfy each of these groups. And then look carefully again at the last one, which is the behavioral. In the behavioral segmentation, for example, you may be interested in the occasions. For example, take the card industry. You have success cards, you have birthday cards, you have Valentine cards. All these occasions demand different cards. So occasions have been used as the basis to design cards. You can also think about the benefits customers are looking for. For example, if you take the toothpaste industry, the benefits customers are looking for could be used to segment the market. There are some customers who buy toothpaste because of size. Others buy it because of the taste. Some buy it because of the medicinal content. Therefore, you can produce different toothpaste for customers depending on the benefits they are looking for in the product. Effective segmentation. For you to be able to segment the market, this criteria must be there. The market itself must be measurable. You must know the exact number of people. You must know the exact size. You must know their purchasing power, everything about the market. Think again about substantial. The market must be large enough. What is the point in segmenting a market if the number of people you have are not substantial enough so you can produce goods for them? Think again of accessible. Each segment that you segment, each segment that you place, you should be able to access the segment by providing effective goods and services to reach them. So you should be able to access each segment. Then each segment must be behaving differently. That's what we call differential. If the segments are not behaving differently, if they are not responding differently to the marketing mix elements that you're going to put forward, then there's no basis for differentiating them with products and services. Then actionable, it should be possible to attract and serve each segment that you identify. That is the actionable. Then market targeting. Once you segment the market, you should be able to evaluate the segments and see which of them you are targeting. And so in evaluating the segments, you look at the segment size and growth. What I mean here is that if a segment has been identified, yet the size is small and it doesn't have the future growth prospects, then why are you going to focus on them? No. Think about the segment structural attractiveness. Here, what you are looking for is how difficult it is to serve each segment. Some segments are already saturated with competitive activities. So when you go there, you're going to fight and fight and fight and fight. You don't worry yourself about such segments if the structural attractiveness is low. And look at the objectives and resources. Some companies may have the objective as to capture the whole market, and they have the resources to back it. For example, take Unilever. Unilever has the resources, and therefore they could have an objective to provide soap for every Ghanaian. But once you are a company and you don't have these resources, it will be very difficult for you to say that you are capturing the whole market with different brands. And then look for competitive advantage. What we're saying is that once you segment the market, you have different groups. To be able to say that I want to go for group A, group B, it should be based on segments that when you pick, you can have advantages in serving both segments. We are saying that there should be a synergy in serving the segments. Now, look at market targeting. In targeting the market, you should also be interested in these things. And Porter has given us the 5 forces. For example, Porter says that if you want to find out whether an industry or a market could be profitable, you need to look at these 5 forces. He talks about the threat of segment rivalry. You're looking at the level of rivalry in the market. Is the market so competitive such that whatever you do, people imitate and they're always trying to outsmart you? Segments that are very intense is normally less profitable. Then threat of substitute products. Do you have substitutes that people can easily switch to? Porter says that, look, if you have substitutes, then people will easily switch and therefore it will not be a profitable market. Then the threat of bargaining power of buyers. Here, the question is, are the buyers well organized? Can they influence pricing on the market? If buyers are well organized, then they detect and normally get the best for their services. And then you have the bargaining power of suppliers. Those who provide you the inputs, can they restrict output and then get more prices at any time? Once the suppliers are organized and they can influence output and prices, remember the market will be controlled by them. Benefits of market segmentation. It helps you to identify different market segments for targeting. And then I also said that, look, it ensures effective marketing. Here, what I mean is that once you segment the market, you can produce different products and services, charge different prices, and promote them and say that they are different. And it helps to reveal hidden marketing opportunities. In fact, sometimes if you treat a whole market as one market, you may not be able to identify the hidden opportunities within the market. But once you segment the market and you get to know the details in each market, you'll be able to identify different market opportunities for the purpose of targeting them. Now, these are strategies if you want to pick the target market. These are strategies you can apply. For example, some companies will do single segment strategy. They will segment the market, but they will pick only one target and produce one product for that segment and leave the rest. Some companies will do selective specialization. For example, they may segment the market and have market 1, market 2, market 3. And yet they have product 1, product 2, product 3. They may specialize by putting product A maybe in market 2, product B in market 3, product C in market 1. They are doing selective specialization. You can also see the full market coverage people. For them, they segment the market, they have the different segments, and they target each segment with different products. So they are doing the full coverage. What some also do is that they do product specialization. They know that the market segments are there, but they will focus on their product. They will produce different products and put all of them on the market. They say, well, we are giving people variety, and we don't care who buys it. And then some will also do market specialization. So instead of producing different products, they rather provide, serve different markets with different products. Now, the last part is called positioning. And normally, this is the act of placing the company's offer in the customer's mind, vis-a-vis that of the competitors. Now, anytime you think of MTN or let's say Vodafone, something comes into your mind. How are they positioned in your mind? In terms of service delivery, in terms of pricing, in terms of quality. Product positioning is about placing the product in the minds of customers so that whatever you do about the product will connect with them. And it's important because that is the only way customers can relate to the product and see it as something that has been designed for them. And let me give you a typical example. Let's say that your friend invites you to his birthday party and he tells you that the party is going to be wicked. This is how he's positioned the party in your mind. If you go to the party only to meet himself, the mother, the father, and the grandmother at the party, you wonder what kind of party is this. And it is not because of the party, it's because of the way he's positioned it in your mind. Therefore, for marketers, one of our jobs is to position products well. And once you position products well, customers will relate to it very well and buy it and pay the kind of price you're asking for. But the question is, what do we do to position our products? You may have different forms of positioning, for example, what we call the functional positioning, symbolic positioning. But the steps in positioning, there are 3 steps. First, identify possible sources of competitive advantage. Look at all the things that when you have them in the market, you have an advantage. These things must be relevant to customers. For example, when we come to the mobile market, for example, wider coverage is valued by every customer, or service quality is valued by every customer. When we say identify possible source of competitive advantage, we are saying identify all the things that customers value, not companies. Customers value in the market. Select the right competitive advantage. Select what you think your company has, which is better than what all other competitors have. For example, MTN realizes that they are the largest network operator in the country. They have a wider coverage. And once you select that one, you communicate and deliver the chosen position. So you see why MTN will say that MTN everywhere you go. That is how it has positioned itself in the market. And because they think that coverage is something that customers value, and they have the best coverage among all the others, they use the coverage to position themselves in our minds. Various companies have also positioned themselves in different ways. It doesn't mean what they have selected is right. But the most important thing is that customers, whatever you select, will rate themselves against what you have selected to position yourself. If to them it's not necessary, your position will come to 0. And so you should also look at 3 types of positioning mistakes. Sometimes people look at your company and they don't know exactly what you represent. In markets, we say this is under positioning. It means that you are not bringing out your full potential to people. Over positioning, sometimes you overrate certain companies. You think that they represent something so high, but when you find out, they may not even be, the things you are thinking they have may not even be there. They are over positioning. Then you have confused positioning. This occurs when customers have a confused image about what you actually represent. Today you are this, tomorrow you are that. You are creating a confused positioning in the minds of customers. Thank you. We've come to the end of section 7.